there are 3 things that I don't believe anymore. And I'm going to share them with you. Hi, I am Leah. I am a mom. I work full-time. I'm creative. I'm multi-passionate, and I am growing and learning so much about myself. And I'm sharing that here with you. So recently I was thinking about, as you grow and get older, you change. And I think a lot of that change is unlearning things that you thought were certain before, when you were a younger person. And there's a couple of those things that I was like, man, I really don't believe that anymore. And I think the third one for me hits the most, but we'll get to that. So number one, the idea that if they wanted to, they would. I get it. There is something to be said for people putting forth effort to be certain things or to be what you need them to be. But I feel like there's a nuance to that. I used to believe, I'm a very optimistic person. I used to believe anybody can do anything. Anything that you want to do, you can do. If you just set your mind to it, you can do it. Doesn't matter where you start from, doesn't matter what your resources are. Everyone is plastic and anything is possible. So I still believe that to some degree. But as I've gotten older, I've come to realize that yes, there are some people who start with a much greater advantage. And yes, there are some people who are built differently to do certain things. They are particularly gifted to do X as opposed to Y or Z. I think one example would be asking a child to completely control their emotions, asking a 2-year-old to really be able to hold it together in the most emotional of situations. That's just not, they're not capable. Their frontal lobe is not done yet. So it's not that if they wanted to, they could. They simply cannot. I think another example is if you are, talking about doing something physical. It's like, you know what? I would really like to be able to run a mile in 2 minutes. Can anybody do that? I don't think so. But, well, if you wanted to, you could. Can you? No, you can't. That's just physically impossible. Or if I am a sedentary person and I say I'm going to get up tomorrow and run a 3-minute mile, that's not possible. No matter how hard I want to do that, I'm not going to be able to do that. And I think the same thing can apply, and this is where it really comes down to it for me. The same thing can apply to relationships, okay? In my marriage, in my relationship, there are some things and I'm like, well, if you really wanted to do this, you would do it. And the same thing for me. He's like, you know what? If you really wanted to do that, Leah, you would do that for me. And if you really think about the things that we've lived through, the experiences, the traumas, the things that have shaped us, I can love him with all of my heart. And there are some things that I am not able to do. I can love you, he can love me with every ounce of his being, and there are some habits that he is unable to break on a whim. And it doesn't mean that he doesn't love me and that he doesn't want to support me and be there for me. It's just some people are not built to do certain things. And so I think that I've given myself a lot more grace, and I've given my husband a lot more grace. And as I've grown in seeing other people, I've given other people a lot more grace. That it's like, you know what? It's not just if they wouldn't, if they could, they would. It's if they could and they wanted to, they would. But sometimes we can't. And that's just the long and the short of it. Number 2 is waiting for things to be perfect to start. Now, the audio for this might not be great. My hair doesn't look great. I'm running errands because school starts in 3 weeks, and that's what I have to do today. I don't have time to sit comfortably in my house and make a nice little backdrop and whatever, but I really wanted to share what was on my heart. So here I am. It's not perfect, but I'm starting. And that has been a big learning point for me, because there have been so many things that I haven't done because I was waiting for things to be perfect. And that is a recipe for infinite procrastination, like infinite procrastination. So here I am sharing my thoughts, minimally edited video, hair looking crazy, no makeup, and I'm on the way to buy the kids socks and underwear. So welcome to my world. The third thing, I think the last thing that I will share today, is a really big thing. So I have been, I think what the people are calling these days, deconstructing my faith, I guess you could say. I was raised Christian. I still consider myself Christian. But I have been seeing how much colonialism and patriarchy is really truly like in the fabric of what and how God and Jesus has been taught. And I think one of the things that I am realizing is that shame and fear do not need to be central to my faith in God. Shame and fear do not need to be central to my faith in God. That person almost hit me. This was almost going to be a very different sort of afternoon. But yeah, so shame and fear do not need to be central to my faith in God. And I think that the way that I was brought up was that before I truly was old enough to understand the love of God, before I was truly old enough to understand Jesus as a revolutionary, as a man of the underclass, the underrepresented, as a rebel. Before I was able to understand that, I was pummeled with, you are unworthy, you were born bad, nothing, like, it's a weird contradiction. Like, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and also this thing that happened long ago that you had nothing to do with marred you. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm at this place where I'm starting to subscribe to, okay, what does God say about me? Where's the joy? Where is the connection? Where is the awe in the midst of creation? Let me, read the red letters, right? What did Jesus say? What does he say? And how can I use him as an example to live? Especially in these here times, right? Where the underserved and marginalized are getting further and further and further underserved and marginalized, let's be honest. So just a kind of a revamping, like, okay, I want to decenter shame. I want to decenter fear in the way that I exercise my faith. And I would very much like to do the same thing as I teach my children about faith and what does it mean to walk as Jesus did, So those are the three things that I no longer believe. And I am growing in my ability to look at these things critically. I plan on, a bonus, number 4. I no longer believe that joy just happens by accident. Not anymore. Maybe when I was 20. But now you have to seek it. You got to seek it out. You got to sow it in the ground, and you got to tend to it, and you have to make it happen. So that's something else that I am going to be going forward with, seeking joy intentionally, because joy does not happen by accident. It just doesn't. So anyways, thank you for joining me on my sojourn to the store to get things for my children to wear to school. I hope that this was helpful. Examine yourself and see, what do you think? What things do you not believe anymore? Comment below. I'm curious to see, what have you taken off in the last few years? What do you no longer subscribe to? But you know what you can do? Subscribe to me. Subscribe. We're maybe doing more of this, kind of just real talk, and then also documenting some of the ways that I am actively seeking joy, like curating joy in my life, because perimenopause is a beast, and preteen years are not for the faint of heart. So I am going to go for it like I mean it. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.